Hello, I'm Joel Mills, and I'm from Millwork Farms in Thompsontown, Pennsylvania. And we're going to be doing a virtual farm tour here. And I'd love to have you join us to see what we have to offer and see what the insides and outs of what our dairy farm's like. And below is the link you can register at to join us.
Good morning, students, and welcome to your virtual farm tour of Millwork Holsteins with Farmer Joel, who is kind enough to join us today. Before we get started, let's go over a couple housekeeping items. Housekeeping item number one, if possible, blow us up to full screen. You're going to want to see everything. You're going to want to see it up close and personal. Number two, of course, is to ask questions. That's what we're here for. Use the question and answer feature that's on Zoom if that's how you've chosen to join us. If you're on YouTube or Facebook, just know we're probably going to answer your question. Wait it out a little bit. I'm sure we'll get to it. And of course, the third thing I want to remind you all is that we have many other resources on our website at americandairy.com, and that includes over 20 other farm tours. And Joel, you can clarify this for me. Every farm is totally different, right?
Totally different.
Totally different. So if you guys watch this tour, love it, want to see any of those other farm tours, are going to be a completely different experience. We're going to learn a lot about Joel's farm today and about farming in general, but there's other options out there. Okay, it's time to get started. Joel, welcome. Thank you for letting us come to the farm today. Tell us a little bit about your farm.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in today. I'm going to show you around my farm. We live in Thompsontown, Pennsylvania. We milk around 125 cows. We farm right around 190, 200 acres to provide the feed for them. It's a first-generation family-operated dairy farm.
Awesome. Very unique, I want to point out, students, first generation.
That's
so,
correct.
Joel, what does that mean for the students? Or maybe clarify first generation. Does that mean that you had no farming background or were you guys just the first ones here?
As a kid growing up, I had actually just worked on a farm, helped on a neighboring farm.
Okay.
And so my family was not involved in farming.
Wow.
And 25 years ago, we went out on a limb and started farming.
Awesome. Okay, students,
Yes.
So for those of you who maybe didn't grow up on a farm, there is still a path to getting in this industry.
It's work and it's difficult, but it can be done.
It can be done. Okay, Joel, I know our students are excited to get started. We see the farm in the background behind us, but I want to head off to the cow barn first. So let's head over to the cow barn. Okay, this looks pretty cool. Now remind us again how many cows are housed in here.
There's 125 that we milk total, but there's about 120 in this barn.
120 in this barn. Oh my gosh, it looks so bright, light, airy. And that is quite a few cows hanging out, having their first breakfast snack of the day. So Joel, tell me a little bit about why you chose this barn design and what are the things you maybe like about it.
So this barn design, when we moved to this farm back in 2007, this was currently here.
Okay.
We do like it. It works very well. There's a lot of good airflow.
Yeah.
Cows like fresh, clean air and a lot of light in it. It works very nice for the cows. Cows are healthy in it and do quite well.
Oh, good. We enjoy that. That's, absolutely the best we can ask for. We're seeing the cows now. It looks like they have free choice to walk around, maybe get a snack. So they're always able to go wherever they want, right?
Yep. Fresh feed, fresh water all the time.
Got it. Now we're checking out where a bunch of them were laying down, and I saw some of those ladies maybe sleeping on the job over there. So what are these beds, stalls? Talk to us a little bit about these.
These are water beds. As you can see them stepping there, it's
cool.
Water that floats the cows, so their joints don't touch a hard surface, and water is really the thing that stays soft all the time.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not like foam where it might get like squished over time.
That's right.
That water really balances her out. Now we're seeing some other items on top of the water beds. What is that?
That is sawdust. It's like a housekeeping item. It keeps things dry and clean. So as the cows step on it, if their feet are a little dirty, it will keep it dry.
Okay. So students, we're seeing all that nice kind of bedding on there to keep them dry and comfortable. Now we're checking out some other parts of the barn I think we got going on here. It looks like this is a little warm, but Joel, what temperature does a cow even like? I like 75 and sunny, but...
That's a little toasty for cows.
Toasty for cows. Okay.
So they'd rather have it 45 to 50 degrees.
Okay, it's a little chilly, but I see why the fans are on now then.
Yes.
Okay. Fans are going to help make sure they stay nice and cool. And of course, I would imagine this looks very open, but maybe move some air too.
They like lots of fresh air moving by them all the time.
Oh my gosh. And what are these? It looks like we're at a water park.
This is a sprinkler. This makes the cows very wet.
Okay.
soaks them down, and
Got it.
the water evaporates off of it. It cools them as it gets on them, and then it evaporates, and that even causes the evaporation causes cooling.
More cooling. Now, obviously, students, as you're seeing, these cows like the water.
They're wet.
Yeah,
That's right.
but they're happy to stand there and they don't mind it at all. That's pretty cool. Now, Joel, obviously in the wintertime when it might be a little cooler, does the barn like close up a little bit if we need to keep it warm?
Yes, it closes up some, but we still like fresh air. Cows still like fresh air.
Still like fresh air. We saw too, those cows were hanging out by the water trough, of course. And just for the students' context, how big is a cow?
A cow's 1,500 to 1,700 pounds.
Oh my gosh. Okay. And so if there's that big, how much water do they need to drink every time?
A lot of water, 30 gallons plus if it's hotter.
Okay, 30 gallons, students, of water. And now it looks like we're seeing some of the technology that's actually used here on the farm. So what are these little white buttons that we've got in their ears?
That is a tag that is specific to our farm. It's called an RFID. It's a radio frequency tag that you can scan that, and it will tell you the cow is from our farm.
Got it. Got it. That makes a lot of sense. And we're seeing those yellow tags too. So what are those yellow tags for?
That yellow tag is specific to that cow. That cow has a name, has a number.
Oh, okay. So now does every cow on the farm have a name?
Every cow has a name.
Every cow has a name. Okay, so over 120 names to be remembered. Do you remember them all?
No, I remember them by their numbers, and then yes, we know some of the names.
Yes, that makes sense. That makes sense. Now, Joel, we're seeing some of the feed. We talked about cows. They weigh over 1,000 pounds, 1,000 to 1,500. They're drinking 30 gallons of water. Now we're seeing some of the feed, but these look like big tubes of marshmallows. What do we got going on here?
That's fresh feed. It's all stored. That way it can be kept fresh all year long during all the seasons.
Okay.
It's mixed twice a day.
Mm-hmm.
And to produce good milk, you need good feed.
Need good feed. Now, it looks like you were grabbing different ingredients, bringing them into this big giant blender. And then is there a name for this feed that we call this?
It's called a TMR, total mixed ration.
Okay, total mixed ration, students. So that's what's going to the cows. And now, do you pick what's in the recipe, or does someone help you?
It's what we choose, what grows good on our ground, and what we can provide that the cows like.
Okay, got it. And do you work with any professionals who like balance the diets, or is that?
Yes, it's like a dietitian that I work with that helps me so the cows stay healthy. All their nutrient requirements are met that way.
Got it. And now, are these cows given this buffet once a day, twice a day? Do they get meals like us?
Twice a day, and it's about 120 pounds a day of feed.
120 pounds
per cow.
Per cow. So again, you can do the math out there of how much that is total on the farm each day. But the cows definitely seem to be really into it. They're all coming right up to the feed bunk.
They love fresh feed.
Oh, okay. Got it. Now, how does a cow spend her day? Like, is she eating most of the day? Is she laying down most of the day?
She's about 10 to 12 hours a day. She's resting. She's sleeping. The other parts of the day, she's going about walking around the barn, going to get a drink, going to get more to eat. Got it. Maybe seeing some of the other cows. Yes. Seeing what they're up to, being curious. Now, some of the students were asking, do your cows ever go outside? A few of them do sometimes, but these cows, when they're working and they're eating, they would rather be inside. Got it. You have a water bed, you have a fan, you have coolness. Makes sense. When you have everything, they don't like to go outside. Well, you did mention that they're not really into the heat. So that would make sense to me if they wanted to stay where all the climate controlled inside of the barn is. Okay, other students from questions that they're curious about. How old are these cows that we're seeing here? These cows range from 2 years old to 9 years old. 2 years old to 9 years old. So an adult cow is a 2-year-old. That's correct. Okay, got it. Good to know. And now we're seeing lots of black and white cows, but I see a couple other colors in there. What breed of cows do you primarily have here on the farm? The main breed is a Holstein. A Holstein, okay. And there's a few red and white Holsteins you might see in some of these pictures here today. Okay. And then the brown ones are called brown Swiss. Got it. Okay. Now, and do the different breeds produce like different qualities or different kinds of milk? The brown Swiss can typically have a little higher butterfat
Okay.
protein content in their milk.
Okay. So basically the breed might just determine some of the makeup of the milk, but it's all still milk.
Yes,
Okay,
that's right.
got it. And of course we don't have any cows out there that are just straight making cheese, right?
No.
All
And the
milk.
brown cows don't make chocolate milk either.
Brown cows don't make chocolate milk, guys. You heard it here first or last. So we're seeing the cows definitely enjoying some of their buffet this morning. Another question that the students had about some of the cows is, are these all the same cows that you started with as a first generation farmer, or like a lineage of?
They all trace back to the same cows. They were
Got
many
it.
generations from when we very first started.
Got it. And we're seeing the whole farmstead here, students, which is pretty cool, seeing all the barns and all the green space around it, because you mentioned obviously that you're growing most of the crops,
Yeah.
right? Now, another important thing before we jump into our first quiz, students, that someone was asking about is, with 120 cows, that's a lot of poop.
Yes.
So are you guys recycling that manure? How do you take care of that?
That manure goes into a storage tank.
Okay.
And then before crops are planted, right before, it is applied to the fields. So that is a fertilizer for the plants to grow.
Got it.
And that way there's no water runoff. There's always a plant growing whenever we spread the manure on the fields.
Makes sense.
And that way it's good for the environment to keep that manure with the plants.
Okay, yeah. And we're seeing that here in the background, students, right, of all of that farmland. So you would have applied manure at a specific time when it was good for the plants, right? And then let them grow and then take that crop off. And then do you apply manure again in the fall?
Yes, manure again in the fall before before a seed is planted again.
Yep.
Right before, and we plant that seed, and it absorbs that manure.
Got it.
To grow again.
Got it. Okay, students, it's time for a quiz about some of our cows. So let's jump right into those quiz questions. While you guys are answering or working on your quiz questions, Joel and I are going to keep chatting because we had some pre-submitted questions for this tour that I want to make sure I get to. So we had one of our students who is very curious, Joel, about the startup cost as a first-generation farmer. Now, of course, I don't want to ask you too many private questions here on the air, but maybe you want to share with some of our students how you either collaborated with people to get started, or what did that process look like? What were the first couple of steps you had to take to start milking cows? The
very first thing we did is we had obtained a loan from the Farm Service Agency.
Gotcha.
It's a government help with farmers.
Yes.
And it was a low interest loan to purchase the cows. And we purchased 90 cows.
Okay.
Rented a farm, bought feed the first time to start, because it was January, the 3rd of January in Pennsylvania when we started.
Gotcha.
So it was very cold.
Nothing's growing.
No. So we purchased some feed and started January 3rd of 2003.
Cool.
And then as the milk checks came in, we started getting money in, but we had all expense first. So it was kind of a shock at first.
Yes, of course. So it is definitely expensive, but with the help of community and some other programs out there, you were able to get it going. Very cool. Okay, one other thing that we didn't talk about, students, that I see on here on your quiz questions that I'll make Joel answer so you get a little cheat is, of course, cows are different than people in that they have a very different digestive system. So how many chambers do cows actually have in their stomach, Joel?
Cows have 4 compartments in their stomach.
Okay, very cool.
Called a ruminant.
Oh, a ruminant. Okay, ruminant animals. Now, why is that unique or helpful?
The cows continually digest their feed, so it helps them be as efficient with that feed that we feed them.
Okay, got
completely digest it.
So like us as humans, we aren't very good at digesting a lot of those maybe fibers that are in plants.
That's correct.
But a cow's 4 chambers are designed to do that.
Yes.
Okay, very cool. So that's why I always think of cows as having superpowers, of course, because they can take food that we can't digest and turn it into dairy that most of us can digest. Now, Joel, you're going to share your deep, dark secret with all of the folks out there that you actually can't digest dairy.
Actually, as a dairy farmer, I am lactose intolerant.
Right.
I cannot digest the lactose that's in the milk.
There you go. But still ways to enjoy dairy. I promise I've seen Joel having some already. He's definitely still having some of the products out there. We are going to jump into the next section. Now that we've had all this fun talk about milk, I think it's time to see how the cows are milked. So we're off to the parlor. Now, Joel, you mentioned that you have over 120 cows here. Are they all milked every day? And how many times a day?
2 times a day, every day, 365 days a year, twice a day. The cows go to the parlor.
Got it. And we're seeing the cows walk over to the parlor now, or excuse me, not now. Students, one thing we will share with you is that most of this has live footage, but what time did you milk this morning, Joel?
5:30 this morning.
5:30. Okay, so we weren't broadcasting live at 5:30. I don't think you students might not even have been up at 5:30 this morning. Props if you were. But so that's kind of showcasing the early morning milkings. And then what time do you milk in the evening usually?
4:30.
4:30 in the evening. Okay. So, Joel, what are we seeing you do here as your cows? We noticed they walked very calmly in. Looks like they're very comfortable.
Yes, cows do not mind coming to the parlor.
Okay.
It's called stripping them out. It's squirting several squirts of milk out of each teat,
Okay.
Rubbing some of the dry dirt off if there's a little dirt on them.
Yep.
And then dipping them with iodine dip, which is a disinfectant, before they're milked.
Got it. Okay, so that's that first kind of pre-milking process, right? So
yes.
You mentioned we're double checking for health.
Health trait. I mean, health as far as if there's any abnormal milk to make sure the cows are healthy.
Yep.
And that quality milk is put in the tank every time.
Looking good. Now, students, you might be wondering, is this the whole process? And spoiler alert, Joel's not going to milk all these cows by hand.
That's correct.
No, we're going to get a little help from technology here in just a minute. But as you can see, he's going through each of those teats, making sure everything looks good, and then coming back through with, like you said, an antibacterial, kind of like a hand sanitizer.
Yeah, you can see the first couple swipes there were to brush any dry dirt off.
Yes.
And then,
perfect.
And then squirting the milk out.
Okay, and then we've got that nice sanitizer on, and we are ready to attach our machines. Now, you mentioned twice a day, and we also talked about, though, that cows actually spend most of their day sleeping or laying down, which means they're not spending a lot of time milking.
No.
So how long?
So for one cow to milk is about 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay, so students twice a day, 10 minutes of work every day. Imagine if you only had to go to school for 10 minutes a day. That's crazy. So these cows definitely mostly relaxing, only going to do work for a short amount of time.
Yes, and they don't mind being milked. As they're like that cow right there, she's letting her milk down.
Yep.
Oxytocin, which is a hormone, which is a relaxing type hormone.
Yeah.
They let their milk out, and you cannot take milk from a cow. They have to relax.
They have to relax
to give the milk.
Oh, okay, very
cool.
So
that oxytocin is a relaxing moment for them.
Gotcha. And that's all natural, of course. You know, they walk into the parlor, they feel those feelings, those hormones are released. Yes. Okay, cool. So we're seeing now that you're just brushing off that little bit. Every cow, I'm assuming, gets her own microfiber towel.
Yes.
So you must do a lot of laundry.
Every day.
Every day.
Yep. Twice a day. There's laundry done for those clean towels.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So another question that some of the students had, of course, was, do you have to milk every single day? And if you do, what do you do on holidays?
We do holidays as a family between milkings.
Got it.
Don't travel too far.
Yes,
so
yes.
365 days a year. Doesn't matter if it's Easter, Christmas, whatever.
Yeah, anything. Yeah. Halloween, doesn't matter. So now, is it mostly family that works on the farm?
Yes, it's all family.
All family labor. Okay, so we are seeing these super duper cool milking machines. So talk to me about how these work a little bit. And are they gentle? Are they comfortable?
They're very gentle.
Okay.
It's a rubber. It's called an inflation inside that stainless steel piece.
Yep.
It's a rubber piece that has a vacuum to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of gently withdraws the pulsates and withdraws the milk from the cow.
Got it. Yeah, they definitely, these cows, they're just standing there saying, yep, I'm just hanging out, waiting my turn. Now, do you guys track how much milk each cow makes every day?
Not every day, but once a month we do have something that we record what the cows are milking.
Oh, okay.
So we record that way for the cow, also health reasons, and also for how much she produces in her life and where she is. So
how much is like an average cow making per day?
We measure in pounds, which our cows are like averaging 80, 85 pounds right now. And that's roughly about 10 gallons of milk every day.
Okay. Yep. 10 gallons. So imagine, students, 10 gallons in your grocery cart every single day for 120 cows. That is quite a bit of milk. We are seeing the end of the milking process now, which it looks like you've, again, cleaned off, brushed, put some more hand sanitizer on there. And those actually come off automatically. So is that all technology sensing?
Yes. It's the flow of the milk slows down to where before it would cause a problem with their teat, it removes it.
Okay.
It's very sensitive to the cows and when it needs to come off.
Got it. Oh, awesome. Now,
And that's a disinfectant that goes on with some conditioners for
gotcha.
healthy skin.
Nice, perfect skincare routine for these cows. And of course, now it looks like they're heading back to the barn, right?
Yes.
Have the rest of the day to do whatever they want. Well, that's honestly seems like a pretty good gig, pretty good routine. Now, another question some of the students had is, where actually does your milk go when it leaves the farm?
Some of it, there's a couple places, but
Okay.
I would say the majority of it, there's a smaller plant that makes chocolate milk, makes some fluid milk. It will go to that.
Okay.
And then there's another plant close to Philadelphia that also produces fluid milk. It goes to that.
Got it. So most of your milk is going into what students might see in the grocery store in the gallon jug or in
Yes.
in the checkout aisle where there's a quick chocolate milk or whatnot.
Yep.
That's the type of stuff. Okay. Got it. Got it. Good to know. Now, as these cows are heading out, of course, I'm assuming milk does not come out of these cows ice cold.
That's correct.
That's not how that works.
Comes out of their body temperature to like 101 degrees.
Okay. I mean, if I was having hot chocolate, maybe, but that's not what we're after right now. So, of course, I'm curious, how do you get the milk cooled so quickly?
So the milk first goes through a plate cooler.
Okay.
Which initially it has cold water with it.
Yeah.
And it flows opposite the milk. And so the cold, which is right here,
Yeah.
and this is where the initial cooling of the milk happens.
Okay.
And it gets it down, and then it knocks a few degrees off of it, maybe 30 degrees off of the temperature of the milk.
Okay.
And then it goes into the milk tank, which continues to cool it. And from this plate cooler, the water from this is then recycled into a large tank that is used for washing in the milking parlor.
Oh, wow. Okay. So we're not using energy for the first cooling of milk, right? We're
That's
just using
correct.
cool water. And then basically that water then also gets recycled
Yes.
to be wash water in the parlor. Meanwhile, then of course the milk does need to be cooled the rest of the way.
The rest way down
tank.
to 35 to 37 degrees.
Okay, cool. So it's definitely the right temperature when it leaves.
That's right.
Perfect.
Cold is perfect.
And now we're seeing the milk truck back all the way up to the farm. How often is the milk truck here picking up milk?
The milk truck comes to our farm every other day.
Okay.
Or not every day. Currently, it's every day.
Gotcha.
Because our milk tank doesn't hold as much as what we're making.
Got it. So most farms, though, Joel, I think are like every day or every other.
Every other day.
Right.
It's every year, every other day.
Okay.
Yes.
And then, of course, we're seeing the full overview of the farm. Now, how long does it take for the milk to get from the farm to maybe the school or the grocery store?
It's about 48 hours.
Wow. And while we're zoomed out this far, too, we see your farm is right on the river.
Yes. We border the Juniata River.
Okay. Awesome. And now, of course, you mentioned recycling water. I assume that's very important, especially given that you're near a waterway.
Yes.
Okay. That you want to make sure you're controlling all of the different materials and nutrients on the farm and where each of them goes. Are you required to measure that and keep track of it?
Yes, we keep track of where we spread manure. And like I said, hauling manure just before crops are grown, and always keeping a growing crop in the fields to keep that water clean.
Yeah.
And that the nutrients stay with the plants and not go to the river.
Gotcha. Okay, so if you're always keeping a crop in the field, right, students, if we think about that, there are roots from the plants in there that are both preventing erosion maybe or anything sloughing off, but as well as taking up those nutrients so they're not flowing, like Joel described, into any waterways.
Into any water sources.
Okay, wow. That is a lot of science, Joel, for what I thought might just be milking cows and shoveling poop. That's a lot of science. So students, we're going to take a break. Well, you're going to take a quiz. We're going to keep answering your questions live here. So let's roll that quiz. Perfect. Okay, Joel, we've had a couple other questions coming in from some of the students. One of which is, do you work with a professional to manage all of the plants? We've talked a lot about the animals, but what about the plants? Do you work with someone for that?
Yes, I do have someone help with that too.
Okay.
I kind of know what we want to do with that, what it needs to feed my cows.
Yeah.
But a professional as far as making recommendations, as far as if we need more fertilizer or the manure that goes from the cows, how much the plants can use, and if there's to properly feed the cows to make good feed, what it all takes.
Okay, cool. So there's definitely professionals out there who are helping you do that planning, helping you manage all of that. Very cool. Now, another question that the students did have was asking about how long a cow stays in the milking herd. So how long is she actually milked for? Maybe years in her life?
Like I said, we have some that are up to 9 years old.
Okay.
5, 6, 7 years old, I mean, can be your typical lifetime.
Gotcha.
But some of the older ones can be up to 9 years old.
And now, of course, we're going to see the calves in our next section. So I'll ask it now, of course, is how often do your cows actually have a calf in order to produce milk?
It's about every year.
Okay.
I mean, cows, actually, maybe 13 months.
A little bit less.
But yeah, so you go, so the cows roughly milk a year, 10 months, 10, 11 months.
Okay.
And then they will have another calf again in that yearly cycle.
Got it.
It's pretty much a yearly cycle.
Okay. And then how long is the gestation period of a cow?
The gestation of a cow is 280 days, which is 9 months.
Okay. 9 months. Very cool. So students, basically, I think from what it sounds like, cows kind of have a similar schedule to maybe being in school, right? Where they get to work or be at work for 9 to 10 months and then have a little bit of time off, maybe for like summer vacation. Okay. Got it. So their schedules seem to follow that way. Now, we are headed off here in just a second after you guys check your answers. Make sure you got them all perfectly correct. We are headed to the calf barn. So, seeing another pull-in of all these gorgeous fields and gorgeous green space, Joel, the calves are the future of your farm, right?
Absolutely.
And now
we enjoy our calves.
Are you raising all of them? I mean, if you have 120 cows and they're each having a calf every year, that's a lot of calves.
Yes. We raise all the heifers.
Okay. What is a heifer?
The heifer is a female calf.
Okay.
Because that's what we do on our farm. We market the bulls. They go to a sale bar. Well, they go to a sale.
Yeah.
And someone takes them, and then they raise them for the beef industry.
Okay, got it. So a little bit of a career change early on. They're not destined to be here on the dairy with us. So these are all girl calves that we would be seeing, or heifer calves.
Yes.
You taught us. Okay. Now, Joel, one of the other questions that some of the students have is these calves obviously are not with the cow that they were born from.
That's right.
So why is that? Why do you have it designed this way?
Because it allows them to grow healthy. No sickness is passed if something were to happen.
Okay.
Keeps the calves healthy.
Yeah.
Where we can take care of them.
Individually.
And they just like when she was feeding them, that's their mama.
Gotcha.
She takes care of them, and
gotcha.
They like to see feeding time, and they like to get their heads scratched and all that kind of good stuff too.
The other thing I can imagine, Joel, we've talked about cows are, can be up to 1,500 pounds. And even though calves are, how much do they weigh when they're born? They're pretty big babies.
They can be 80 to 90 pounds in that range.
But even so, the difference between 80 to 90 pounds and over 1,000, that's a big difference.
That's a long ways to grow.
Right. So just probably, I can imagine even having these calves having their own individual space keeps them safe just from accidental.
Things can happen if they were with larger cows.
Gotcha.
They can get injured.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. And they seem to each have, I guess our other question from some of the students was, why do they have their own individual pens, maybe instead of having like a party pen with a bunch of them in there?
Because when they're babies, they'll like to suck on each other, and that keeps them separated. And we can keep track of when they start to eat grain, so they can be weaned.
Okay.
You kind of know optimally how they are doing as an individual and how they can continue to grow.
Got it. That makes sense. And I can imagine, I mean, students, I'm sure when you go back to school, everybody kind of shares sickness, right? So when everyone's touching and in the same room and germ sharing, we don't want that in our calves because we want them to have a really solid first 60-ish days. Now, I know you feed your calves some milk, right? Because that's what they need when they're born. So how much are you actually feeding them?
So ours, we do a little different than a lot of people. Some people will feed more milk. We feed like 2 quarts twice a day.
Okay.
We feed the pellet we feed them is a sweeter berry flavored pellet, which they like that, and they'll start eating that sooner. So, so that's how we do it. We've been very successful with it, raising our calves that way.
So we're seeing right now your daughter prep up these bottles, right?
Yes.
Okay. So now, is this all milk from cows on the farm, or is this like a formula?
This is a formula.
Okay.
It's milk replacer. It's a very balanced. Meets the calf's nutrient needs.
Got it.
It's very consistent.
Okay.
So you don't get sick calves, and so they eat the same menu every day, twice a day.
Gotcha. So you're just really picking that to make sure everything is absolutely consistent, no matter what else is going on, maybe in the herd or at the farm. Got it. That makes a lot of sense. And I think that's a theme, students, that we've seen throughout this. Cows and the calves, they just like the consistency.
Yes.
Maybe farmers too. I don't
Yeah.
know.
It makes it easier.
It makes it easier.
That's right.
Routine. Okay, very cool. So those of you out there, looking to fulfill your chef dreams, it looks like we got some cooking, some whisking, mixing going on here. Another question that we had about the calves in particular is how fast will they actually grow then? When are they full grown and how fast does that happen?
Well, a calf becomes a cow when she has a calf, but to reach that maturity when she's a baby calf, she'll gain up to about 2 pounds per day when she's drinking this milk and eating this good feed.
Okay. So students, 2 pounds every single day that she's gaining, I would say. Is that now for the first year, for the first 60 days?
For this for 60 days.
For 60 days. Okay. So really a lot of speed growth at the beginning and then it slows down a little bit. But as Joel shared too, these cows aren't. So she transitions from being a calf or a heifer at 2 years old when she has a calf, and then she's a cow.
Then she becomes a cow.
Then she's a cow. So now you know the terminology, students, of kind of how we're talking and thinking about this. So these calves are fed these bottles twice a day, you said?
Yes.
Morning and night. Okay, makes sense. They definitely look like they know what time it is.
Yes. They're ready for when she comes by.
Perfect. Another question the students had was how soon do they actually get those ear tags in their ear? Because we see they already have them.
Yes. So as soon as possible after birth,
okay,
they are given those tags. That way we know who mama is and who they belong to.
Got it. So you can trace everything.
Yes. And so genetically, what that animal contains.
Got it. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So it looks like you have a lot of data, a lot of records, some technology to really keep track of every animal, all the different nutrients like we talked about that are moving throughout the farm. Now, how many calves do you have born here on the farm, let's say per day or per month?
There's one it averages out to about one every other day.
Every other day. Wow.
We have a lot of calves around here. Some days, there can be days go by that we don't have any.
Yeah.
There's some day we can get 2 or 3.
Right. Mother Nature's still in charge.
That's right.
Okay, got it.
So typically maybe average out about one every other day.
Okay, that makes sense.
This was a red and white Holstein that you were just seeing there.
Yes. And now that's a different breed or
it's the same it's the same breed, just a different color of hair.
Oh, okay. Got it. Very cool. Now, some of the students were asking, of course, since we're seeing these adorable calves, do you have a favorite cow on the farm?
Yes. Well, I have kind of 2 favorite cows. And like I said, they're all named. One's named Caden and the other one's named Dollop.
Got it. 2 favorite cows on the farm. Makes sense. Although you do have a lot to choose from.
That's right.
You don't have more.
They're all like our friends, we consider.
Got it. All part of the family. Now, and then how many young stock will you have at any time? So students, remember we talked about that. Calves and heifers or anything under 24 months old. How many numbers-wise of those are on the farm?
There's about 150 of those.
Okay.
So the milk cows, I said we had about 125. So we have almost adult cows. There's almost 150 also. But there's those that are before they have calves. They're in that rest period, their vacation time.
Okay, got it. Makes a lot of sense. And you have a term for that, right? What do we call those?
It's called a dry period.
A dry period. Perfect. So those would be our dry cows when they're in that vacation mode. They're in summer mode. No matter the time of year, of course, right?
That's right.
Got it. Different cows take different rest periods throughout the year. It's not seasonal.
That's correct.
Right? And I guess we talked about that too. Students farming is obviously 24/7. Pretty sure we need groceries 24/7, right? We can't just take time off and then there not be milk on the shelf. So that's why it's kind of structured in this way. And of course, we're seeing these calves just absolutely hound down that delicious grain that you were talking about. They really do seem to love it.
They like it.
Okay, students, it is now time for you to take your third and final quiz. So we're going to roll over that quiz really quick. And I am going to try and answer some more of your questions that you pre-submitted before this tour. So some of the other questions that were asked of the students, Joel, were kind of about your day-to-day life. So one of which is, what is your favorite job to do on the farm?
I would say probably one of my favorite jobs, never changed, is calves being born.
Calves, okay.
Helping, if a cow needs help with the calf being born, it's always fun introducing a new life, seeing those calves being born. It never gets old. It never gets old.
That's pretty cool. And then another student was actually asking, what does your day look like? We talked about what a cow's day looks like, but what time do you have to get up? What are you usually doing throughout the day?
So I said we started milking around 5:30.
Yep.
So before that, you have to take cows out of the barn, clean the stalls, clean the manure out in the barn, So that started before they come to the parlor.
Okay.
As they're coming to the parlor, and then after they're done, if there's any sick cows that need attention,
Got it.
making sure, and then cleaning. There's always manure to clean up, cleaning that
Makes
up
sense.
so that it's always clean for their feet.
Yep.
So that keeping things clean for them keeps them healthy.
Okay. So what time are you up? What time are you getting up?
A little before 5 every day.
A little before 5, heading out, doing some cleaning, getting cows in, getting them milked,
Yes.
doing some more work around either the barns, and of course, if there is a calving, helping with the calving.
Yep.
Got to stop everything. And then your family seems to have different roles as well.
Yes.
Yeah, which is very cool. Okay, another question that one of the students had was, is there any other job you could see yourself doing besides farming?
Not really.
Not really.
I've done it my whole life. I've enjoyed it,
Yeah.
and it's been how I've grown up.
Gotcha.
So.
Okay, makes a lot of sense. So students, we are coming down in the last 3 seconds for you to get your answers in. And of course, here are all of the answers to our last set of quiz questions. So Joel, before we go, we do want to tell you thank you so much for having us on the farm, showing us everything behind the scenes. It was definitely very cool to see. What you're going to see on the screen, students, is an opportunity to check out another tour. Like we talked about, every farm is different.
That's
You're
right.
going to learn different things. You're going to see different things. You might hear some of the same concepts again, but in a different way. In addition, we do have free dairy lesson plans. And of course, we will be back with many virtual farm tours in the fall here in Pennsylvania, one in Maryland, and a couple in New York. Okay, Joel. I, of course, like to end on a good food note because some of our students are probably headed off to their lunch period. So what is your favorite dairy food to enjoy?
My favorite food, dairy food, is yogurt.
Yogurt.
Easy to eat, goes down good, and it's good for lactose intolerance. So
Gotcha.
very enjoyable.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. So students, you hear first. This farmer's favorite dairy product is yogurt. Of course, we would be remiss if we didn't mention that today is Earth Day. We've talked about a lot of different ways here on the farm. We both care for animals, but also for the land.
Yes.
And a very cool thing to share with us, of course, that you guys are managing. Remind us again, Joel, before we go, how many acres of land?
Around 200.
Around 200. So more acres of land than number of cows.
That's right.
Okay. So definitely an important piece of the puzzle here. And then anything else you want to share or leave our students with before we let them go?
Well, as you go about life and enjoy food, we like to, on the farm, we like to produce a good quality product. I hope you all can enjoy dairy out there, whether it's chocolate milk, white milk, yogurt, ice cream, cheese, all different kinds of cheeses.
For sure.
A very good thing to enjoy.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. You guys saw it here first where your milk comes from, and now you know that it comes from a good place. So we hope to see you on another tour this fall, but enjoy the rest of your week and the rest of your school year.